Who do I think are the top 4 Phillies shortstops of all time? Stay tuned to find out.
Philadelphia Baseball History presents the top 4 shortstops in Phillies history.
Shortstop is a critical defensive position. Well, it used to be. I hate the shift. Sure, the shift was cool at one time. You know, back when it was an innovative way to counter Ted Williams. But the shift is everywhere now. It's ubiquitous. Now infield defenders are pretty much interchangeable. You got a left-handed hitter, move everyone to the right side of the infield. You got a right-handed hitter, move everyone to the left side of the infield. Just putting bodies where you think the ball's going to be doesn't really take a lot of skill. It just encourages left-handed hitters to swing for the fences. Yeah, you could bunt down the third base line and maybe beat the shift, but hitting coaches discourage that. You keep hearing the mantra, that's not why he's in the majors. But moving runners over and squeezing in runs, that's exciting baseball to watch. Sure, home runs are exciting, but when the game is just power pitching and power hitting, and it's just home runs and strikeouts, it gets old fast. I'd really be in favor of a rule change that made it harder for teams to do the shift. But I digress. So if you've been following me on YouTube, you know that I've done a series. I've started with the top 5 first basemen, top 5 second basemen, so now we're on the shortstop. The problem is it's really hard to come up with the 5 greatest shortstops of all time. You see, shortstop is mostly a defensive position. So the Phils had a bunch of shortstops in the late 19th, early 20th century who were known for their defense. But like it or not, defense doesn't lend itself well to statistics. And don't start talking to me about those sabermetrics for defense. When you're judging a player on his defensive ability from over 100 years ago, you're basically trying to rank reputations. I just didn't find that exercise fruitful. So here you go, the top 4 shortstops in Phillies history.
Number 4, Dave Bancroft.
Dave Bancroft makes the list because he's the only Phillies shortstop to be in the Hall of Fame. Bancroft spent 6 years with the Phillies, but his years with the team weren't that spectacular. He made the Hall of Fame because of his time with the New York Giants. It's one of my complaints of the Hall of Fame. It's too New York-centric. Yankees, New York Giants are just overrepresented. That's my criticism of Ken Burns' documentary as well. It's too New York-centric. Well, with the Giants, he batted .310 and had a .795 OPS. Bancroft makes the list because his rookie year was the first year that the Phillies won the pennant. He played along such greats as Fred Luteris, Eperixy, Davy Cravath, and Grover Cleveland Alexander. So yeah, Bancroft is making the list more because of his teammates than because of his own efforts.
Number 3, Granny Hamner.
Granville Wilbur Hamner. Granny to you and me. He hated being called Granny. He was mean, ill-tempered. He's on this list in part because he had such longevity with the Phillies, in part because he's such a fan favorite, and in part because he was part of that 1950 Whiz-Kids team, the team that surprised the world by winning the National League pennant. Honestly, if I didn't pick Hammer for this list, I'd have a bunch of old-timers who still remember the Whiz-Kids complaining. Let's face it, there are really only 2 notable shortstops in Phillies history. And if I gave you number 2 now, you'd know who number 1 was. So I'm going to build the suspense by telling you the honorable mentions now. Ain't I a stinker?
Honorable mentions.
Kevin Stocker brought stability to that beloved 1993 throwback team. Before calling up Stocker, the Phils didn't have consistency at the shortstop position. Stocker batted .324 that year and really contributed to that NL pennant-winning team. Bobby Wine played for that 1964 Phillies team that almost won the pennant. He was also a longtime Phillies coach. Bob Allen was one of those shortstops who was known for his defense and played for the Phillies over 100 years ago. So was Mickey Doolin. Heine Sand was a good defensive shortstop who played for the Phils in the 1920s. Ivan De Jesus was part of that infamous trade that sent Ryne Sandberg to the Cubs. Plus his name's fun to say. Steve Jobs. Dickie. Thon, Ruben Amaro. Okay, now I'm just randomly naming Philly shortstop to keep the suspense going. So who did I pick to be the greatest Philly shortstop of all time? Was it Larry Bowa or Jimmy Rollins? Well,
Number 2, Larry Bowa.
I personally think Larry Bowa should get Hall of Fame consideration, but not so much for his time playing shortstop. Really, because in over 50 years, he's had such a varied career in contributing to Major League Baseball. He's been a shortstop, he's been a coach, he's been a manager, he's even been a broadcaster for ESPN and the MLB Network. His defense was incredible, and he was a 5-time All-Star. Larry Bowa teamed up with 2 good Phillies second basemen to make a formidable double play duo. That was Dave Cash in the 70s and Manny Trio in the late 70s and early 80s. Like Dave Cash, Larry Bowa was known to inspire his team to play their best. Early in his career, he was actually a leadoff hitter. He got the first hit for the Phillies at the Vet. He's reported to have a good knuckleball. When he was coaching for the Phillies, it was said that he would throw batting practice right before the team faced a knuckleballer. That way the hitters could get their timing in place. Bowa is certainly a fan favorite, and he deserves to be in the top 2 of greatest Phillies shortstops of all time. Which means that the greatest Phillies shortstop of all time is...
Number 1, Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins burst on the scene in 2001, which was his first full year as a Philly and his first year as an All-Star. Showcasing his speed, Rollins led the league that year with 46 stolen bases and 12 triples. His best year was 2007, when the Phillies stole the NL East from the Mets in their infamous late-season collapse. Rollins hit .296 that year, and again led the league in triples with 20. 2007 was the year that Rollins won the NL MVP award. Defensively, Rollins won 4 Gold Gloves over his career, and was part of that deadly double play duo with Chase Utley. In his 15th season with the Phillies, including 5 seasons in a row where the Phillies won the NL East, he became the Phillies' hit leader and leader in doubles. Rollins is 3rd in career Phillies triples, behind only Sherry McGee and the great Ed Delahanty. He's 2nd only to Hall of Famer Slad and Billy Hamilton in stolen bases. Rollins is 3rd in runs scored, behind Delahanty and the great Mike Schmidt. He's 2nd only to Schmidt in total bases. I honestly don't think there's much of an argument. Rollins is the greatest Phillies shortstop of all time. His lifetime batting average of .264 may not seem all that impressive, but it's still greater than 4 Hall of Fame shortstops, including the Wizard, Ozzie Smith. In my opinion, because of the length of his career, his consistency in the field, his contribution to Phillies history, including the 2008 World Championship team, Rollins deserves serious Hall of Fame consideration.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com. The link is in the description box. We have t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, mugs, and more with our designs in our merch store. Please visit the merch store at the link in the description box. Please consider subscribing to our channel. Leave a comment if you have any ideas for future videos. Give us a like, and click the bell button if you would like to receive notification when we publish videos in the future.